Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about skull bones. So let's start our topic with introduction. Human skull is one of the most complex and vital structures of skeletal system. It serves as a strong protective case for the brain. It supports the sensory organs and provides the framework for the face. Skull is made up of several bones that are joined together by immovable joints that are called sutures. These bones are classified into two main groups, cranial bones and facial bones. So, skull bones are divided into two groups as we know, cranial bones and facial bone. First, we will talk about cranial bones, then we will talk about facial bones. Cranial bones. Cranial bones form the cranium which enclose and protect the brain. These bones also provide attachment points for vessels of head and neck. There are 8 cranial bones in total that include one frontal bone, 2 parietal bones, 2 temporal bones, 1 occipital bone, 1 sphenoid bone, and 1 ethmoid bone. Now let's talk about these bones in a bit detail. So first cranial bone we have is frontal bone. It is located at the front of skull. It forms the forehead, the roof of eye socket, and parts of nasal cavity. It contains frontal sinuses, which are air-filled cavities that help reduce the weight of skull and resonate the voice. Second cranial bone we have is parietal bone, that is paired bone, that means there are two parietal bones in every skull. There are two large bones that are located on the sides and roof of skull. They join each other at the top of head through the sagittal suture. Next cranial bone we have is temporal bone, that is also paired bone, that means there are two temporal bones in every skull. They are found on the lower sides of the skull near the ears. Each temporal bone contains the external auditory meatus that is also called as ear canal, the mastoid process and styloid process. It houses the structure of inner ear that are essential for hearing and balance. Next cranial bone we have is occipital bone, that is unpaired bone, that means there is one occipital bone in every skull. It is located at the back and base of the skull. It contains foramen magnum, that is a large opening through which spinal cord passes. It articulates with the first cervical vertebra that is also called as atlas. Next cranial bone we have is sphenoid bone. It is a butterfly-shaped bone situated at the base of the skull. It forms part of eye socket and floor of the cranium. It contains sala turcica, that is a depression that houses the pituitary gland. Next cranial bone we have is ethmoid bone. That is a light spongy bone located between the eyes. It contributes to the medial walls of eye socket, the nasal cavity, and nasal septum. It contains the cribriform plate through which olfactory nerve passes. Now let's talk about facial bones. Facial bones form the structure of face. They protect the opening of digestive and respiratory systems and also provide attachment for facial muscles. There are 14 facial bones in total that include 2 nasal bones, 2 maxillary bones, 2 zygomatic bones, 2 palatine bones, 2 lacrimal bones, 2 inferior nasal conchae, 1 vomer and 1 mandible. Now let's talk about these bones one by one. So first facial bone we have is nasal bone, that is pair bone. That means there are 2 nasal bones in every skull. They are small rectangular bones that form the bridge of the nose. Then the second facial bone we have is maxilla. They are also paired bones. They form the upper jaw bone, which also form part of orbits, nasal cavity and hard palate. They contain maxillary sinuses that are the largest paranasal sinuses. Next facial bone we have is zygomatic bone, that is also paired bone. They are commonly known as the cheekbone. They form part of the orbit and they give shape to the face. Next facial bone we have is palatine bone, that is also paired bone. They form the posterior part of hard palate and part of nasal cavity. Next facial bone we have is the lacrimal bone, that is also paired bone. They are small bones located in the inner corner of each eye. They contain the lacrimal fossa which houses the tear ducts. Next facial bone we have is inferior nasal conchae, that is also paired bones. They are curved bones that are located inside the nasal cavity. They help in filtering, warming and humidifying the air we breathe. Next facial bone we have is vomer, that is unpaired bone. That means there is one vomer in every skull. It is a thin, flat bone that forms the lower part of nasal septum. Next bone we have is mandible, that is lower jaw bone and only movable bone of the skull. It contains sockets for lower teeth and forms the chin. Functions of skull bone. First function is protection, as cranium protects the brain while facial bone protects sensory organs such as eyes, nose and tongue. Second function of skull bone is support, as they provide the framework for the head and face. Third function is movement, as skull bone in the mandible specifically allows chewing and speaking movement. Fourth function is respiration and digestion, as these bones form opening for air like nasal cavity and opening for food, that is oral cavity. Fifth function of skull bone is communication, as skull bone houses structures that are essential for speech, facial expression and sound resonance. Conclusion of this lecture video. Skull is a complex structure made up of 22 bones, including 8 cranial bones and 14 facial bones. Each bone has a specific role in protecting the brain, supporting sensory organs, and shaping the human face. Together, these bones form a strong yet lightweight framework that is essential for life, communication, and identity. And this was all about skull bones. Hopefully, you liked the video. If you do, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for watching.